Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
The Minnesota Vikings were in the market for a tight end ever since losing potential breakout star Irv Smith Jr. to a serious knee injury. They solved their tight end issue by trading for Chris Herndon from the New York Jets, the promising young tight end for the Jets. I know they're expecting so much from him. Never quite penned out, a little injury concerns. He now restarts his career in Minnesota, so it is Herndon and a 6 for a 4 going to the Jets. A really nice return for the New York Jets.
And we have breaking news. Ian Rappaport there with the Chris Herndon information, but this is an emergency episode of Purple Daily because Irv Smith Jr. is pretty much out for the season, according to Adam Schefter and his sources tell me. My sources tell me. Irv Smith underwent surgery to repair his meniscus this morning, and remember, Mike Zimmer and the Vikings had said, we don't know what the extent of the recovery will be until they slice open that knee. Well, they did, and they found that the long-term option was the best one. 4 to 5 month recovery timetable, most likely to end his season, per sources. This is Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company. Well, we know how Judd's gonna be coping with this.
Just keep going. It's gonna be fine.
Oh man. So yeah, I mean, well, 4 to 5 months. Okay, hold on. So September, October, November.
When's Super Bowl?
December. So January is month 5.
When's
Super Bowl's not till the middle of February.
He's back for the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying. I don't know. Maybe they can hold the fort down. Old Irv Smith comes back for the championship weekend run to the Super Bowl. So, all right, now that this is official, and by the way, thanks for all of you who are watching Purple Daily on a TCL TV. TCL, enjoy more of what you love with TCL, the world's best-selling consumer electronics brand, and they deliver the most entertainment with stunning resolutions. You can see our beautiful faces, but your thoughts on this, now that we know Irv Smith is basically out for the season?
What's a word that's slightly less than devastating?
Devastating. Upsetting. Upsetting.
I guess I can't articulate enough.
Jarring.
Jarring's pretty good. I guess I can't articulate
unsettling.
Unsettling's too small. Devastating feels like the season's over, so I don't want to use that. But what I am trying to say is, like, if you could have gone through the list of players that I would say you don't want to lose offensively, Dalvin Cook, you don't want to lose Dalvin Cook. Justin Jefferson, you don't want to lose him. As far as skill position guys go, Irv Smith was high on this list.
He was 4th, right?
I think he was. Maybe argue,
3rd.
I would argue that with how this offense operates, gentlemen, he was 3rd. I would say that if you gave me the choice of Thielen or Irv Smith, with Irv Smith currently the plan. I mean, I watched practices. I didn't go and sweat my head off, my hairline off, because I had chill boys on, so I was comfortable down there. But I didn't go and watch all those practices and sweat that much to see Irv Smith to be like, well, it's not a big deal. They got Herndon from the Jets. They're fine. I'd put him 3rd, Phil. I'm dead serious. I'd say you can't lose Dalvin for sure because he's such an important part. And I'm not talking just pure talent. I'm talking what their role was going to be. Justin Jefferson, you can't lose him. I think Irv was ahead of Thielen because this offense was going to finally operate around a tight end who was not just, he can block and catch some passes, and that Rudy's a good guy. This was going to be the year that Irv Smith took, and I don't mean to take shots at Kyle, but my God, this was going to be the year that Irv Smith, I really think, went towards that upper echelon, and he might not be there, but he went towards that upper echelon of, okay, I get it now. This is a hybrid tight end receiver, and he can block a bit, and that's fine. I don't really care about that. I care about the fact he is essentially another receiving option. The chemistry that he developed early and continued into Friday night's game in which he got hurt with Kirk Cousins, absolutely imperative because, Kirk Cousins, the one thing that we know, and this is true of all quarterbacks, when they have their safety blankets and they're convinced that guy is going to do what they need and be in the right place, becomes incredibly important. So when you now put Chris Herndon in, you can't just be like, well, trust him like you did Irv. So I do not want to sell this short of how big of a loss I think this is that the Vikings have suffered with Irv Smith being hurt in a meaningless game. And just final thing too, doesn't it piss you off that like they held Dalvin out, which I applaud, smart move. Jefferson got hurt. You're not playing. Smart move. Thielen, they tried to play, got hurt. Okay, you're done. And the one guy that they tried to play skill position wise in Irv Smith gets hurt, a meniscus in the preseason. I'm not faulting them. I'm just saying this is what drives me crazy in some ways.
Yeah.
Exhibition games, and it happens to everybody, but it still drives you nuts.
Is it confirmed that it happened in the game?
Yeah, as far as we know, it definitely happened in that
third
game at some
game.
point in time. Somebody said they think it was he caught a pass in the red zone, I believe, right before they stalled out in that first drive, and they think it happened on that play.
I think it's so hard because there's a lot of evidence. The Rams, there's teams that are just not playing starters and they're fine. Like they're because I think the thought going into like Sean McVay deciding a couple years ago, I'm just not going to play starters was, well, then you're going to be really rusty in September. It's like, not really. I think that's been proven false, right? Is there a case to be made that if you don't play starters, you might get off to a slower start offensively? Maybe. It kind of depends situationally. Like, do I want young quarterbacks seeing as many reps as possible? Yes. I would want Mac Jones playing preseason games. I want Justin Fields playing preseason games because those guys have to, at some point, they got to see reps and NFL speed.
Correct.
And if they can get an extra 50 snaps in the preseason, it can help expedite that process. With the Vikings, I don't, especially if they already knew that this is all second guessing now, but like if they already knew that Jefferson wasn't going to play and Thielen and Dalvin Cook, it's like, then what's the point? What's the point?
In their defense, I think what they were trying to do was they were concerned enough from what they've seen both in practices and in that second exhibition game from Kirk that they were trying to get Kirk reps and they felt, well, we need to give him at least one viable option, right? Because like the offensive line's playing, but we need Kirk to have, we can't play him and then give him all backups. I think that's why. But where my opinion has changed about playing guys in exhibition games actually was because of last year when you didn't have one. And you know what? The start of the season wasn't great, but here's the thing. It never is. Like it's not like ordinarily in September you're like, oh, there's all these sharp games that look so good, and in 2020 that was not the case. My contention is that last September was no different than September of 2019, which is it just all takes some time because practices are not what they used to be, and I get that. But yeah, I'm not even trying to place blame here. I'm just saying it drives me crazy. The Vikings have suffered what I consider to be a very big loss offensively because of that game.
Also, too, I think on one hand, you're comparing Irv Smith's production the last couple of years to now. It's like, well, it's not that big of a loss. He only caught 30-some whatever passes or 4, whatever it was. It's like, I think it's all of us looking at the way that he has played in limited time and the explosiveness of that position and what he could do if given, most of Kyle Rudolph's snaps, and Conklin's going to get some run too. And it's just it's this what could have been story about Irv Smith for 2 years, and now we're not going to get to see it this year.
Correct.
I mean, he looks like he should be one of the top 5 pass catching tight ends in the NFL. Like his quickness and speed at that position, yards after the catch. You watch him and Kyle Rudolph run the same route, catch the ball, and then from that point forward, how many yards after the catch? And Kyle Rudolph is usually just sort of falling over, especially late in his career. And Irv Smith is sprinting and trucking guys for yardage, and I wanted to see that play out for a full season, and now we're going to have to wait, it sounds like, for another year. Real quick, Mike Zimmer is talking right now, and according to our old friend Matthew Collar from Purple Insider, just going to read you a quote here. Mike Zimmer said Irv Smith Jr. had to go the full repair route with his meniscus so it wouldn't have a long-term impact. Said they were planning on Irv as more of a receiver role on third downs, but now they have to use receivers for that. So they were legitimately going to use him as a third receiver spread out wide on those third downs, get him matched up against if you can get him matched up on a linebacker, I mean, my God, it's just it's game over. So that's the update. It's a buzzkill for the Vikings.
Yep. And I'm telling you, when I saw him early in training camp practices, he looked like he was ready for a huge year. I mean, he looked that good. And I'm not one to lend to say that training camp practices define a player. But then when I saw him on Friday against the Chiefs, I'm like, oh, this is a continuation. And this was going to be, I think, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not on this one. This is going to be the first time I think that Kirk had a receiving tight end that he really trusted. Like that he was going to use, because if I'm not mistaken, he had that in Washington and we expected it here. And, Kyle being Kyle, he was okay, but I never really sensed they developed the true chemistry.
What sense did you get? What gave you that sense?
Well, I mean, maybe just the fact that Kyle wrote a 5,000-word opus when he left here and didn't mention Kirk once, but he did talk about Tarkington, Kramer, Wade Wilson,
four interns on the PR department,
Kelly Holcomb, Joe Cap, George Shaw, just maybe that. But anyway, this was going to be the first time that I really felt Kirk was going to have that guy. And, hopefully for his sake, Tyler Conklin comes back and plays well. Chris Herndon sounds like, I think he's an athlete and I think he's a good player, but he's had off the field problems. He essentially missed the entire 2019 season because of that and injuries combined. The Jets are a dumpster fire, so perhaps getting him out of there will help, but he also has not had a full training camp here, which is tough at first. So I don't think you just plug in these guys now and say, okay, pick up where Irv was supposed to pick up.
Yeah. So you guys want some other nuggets here? There's some other little news items that are coming out that pertain to the Vikings before we wrap this emergency episode. And these nuggets brought to you in part by Moon Motorsports. So Moon Motorsports up in Monticello, Minnesota. It's my old stomping grounds. I went to Buffalo High School, and Monticello was our bitter rival. But I remember driving by Moon Motorsports on the team buses.
I hope you were. I hope you didn't flip off people in that town or something like that.
No, I probably did work. I definitely argued with some of their fans.
Oh, boy.
But I remember looking out the window of those buses, those rides to the sporting events, ATVs, motorcycles, side-by-side, snowmobiles, the best and most exciting power sports selection in the region. You can stop by for yourself in Monticello, or you can go to moonmotorsports.com and check them out. Also, Federated, they've been around. You talk about Minnesota-based companies. Federated's been around in Owatonna for over 100 years, helping business owners with risk management resources. Find out about all the tools and things that they can implement to help your business at federatedinsurance.com. And remember, at Federated, it's our business to protect yours. So we kicked around backup quarterback names yesterday. Brian Hoyer was one of the names we kicked around saying, if you could find a guy like that to professionally hold a clipboard and mentor Kellen Mond and be a competent backup if needed to go into a game. Brian Hoyer is reportedly going back to the Patriots after they released him yesterday. So teams are doing a lot of release a guy, bring him back before week one kind of a thing right now. So he's off the board. Jake Browning has cleared waivers and will re-sign with the Vikings practice squad. Much to Judge chagrin.
Year 3 on the practice squad. So here's the deal with practice squads, which I think teams can start signing guys or complete them at 3 p.m. today, which is Wednesday. Practice squads can now be, for I think the second consecutive year, 16 players and 6 veterans. So for instance, Everson Griffin, because he doesn't have to clear the waiver process since he's a veteran, he could actually just be re-signed short-term to the Vikings practice squad. What they also could do, and we have not broached this yet, is they could sign another veteran backup to the practice squad. So keep 2 quarterbacks in Cousins and Mond on the 53-man roster for right now. Find a veteran quarterback, put him on the practice squad short-term, and then if something were to happen to Kirk where he had to go into quarantine, activate that quarterback. So there's ways to game this. The thing that makes this different is essentially because the season doesn't start till a week from Thursday, and for the Vikings a week from Sunday, you've got so much time now that I feel like it gives license, and this might be good or bad, to get really creative, because there's a lot of time now to make moves and to possibly make trades and to claim guys off waivers. that process used to go a little bit quicker, and now it's going to be extended. So there's a lot of different things that can be done here. But like a guy like Griffin or Abdullah, who are veterans, could easily come back.
Yeah. Speaking of Everson Griffin, so yeah, it was weird because he got cut yesterday, and everybody at first was like, "What? Why would you?" It's weird. Well, he looked pretty good in that preseason game, right? Why would you cut him? So that's procedural, and he's expected to come back and re-sign. So the Vikings are trying to get creative here. They also released their long snapper. So this is all like there's a lot of things happening right now that are going to settle in the next, I would think, 2 to 3 days. But to clear up the Everson Griffin confusion from yesterday, because we were also confused, admittedly, he is going to re-sign with the Vikings, it sounds like, before week 1. And probably get some third down pass rush opportunities.
And it looks like they've also, Phil, claimed a tight end off waivers from Jacksonville, a kid that went to North Dakota State, Ben Ellefson.
Okay.
So
that's a good Scandinavian name right there. That is an upper Midwest name.
I guarantee you, this kid's got hand of stones, but he can block. He can block like an SOB. I bet you the ball bounces off his hands. The football back, but you know what? Nobody throws a better bleeping block than Ben.
That's right.
My guess, childhood hero, Jim Kleinsasser.
Here's Ben. Oh God! Here comes the ball.
Crab claws.
You don't care because he blocks. Because he can
Crab
block.
claws.
Ben, just go block.
So he's Rhett Ellison. As long as his dad
He walks
doesn't
around
chirp
like
on
this, you
Twitter.
guys. He walks around, arms crossed, blocking motion.
It's hilarious.
Like he's like, don't throw me the ball. I can't catch the ball.
Any other just notes real quick here to wrap this emergency episode? I know, Judd, you sent us one note that just said this is the most fluid you've ever seen the 53-man roster in your. So
yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, they don't have a long snapper. They purposely cut the long snapper, and they're going to have to. I'm hoping that they bring the guy back since and we dissected this on Purple After Dark last night. Since that guy worked throughout training camp with the kicker and the holder. But yeah, this is just going to be. It's going to be, I think, a prolonged process of actually up until the first day of practice next week, trying to set the roster.
A couple other quick things here. So Zimmer and Kirk Cousins are both talking right now. One of the reporters asked, this is from Chad Graff, The Athletic, one of the questions that was asked is, does it feel like Mike Zimmer has constantly been putting out fires over the last month? And Zimmer said, quote, I think it's been 8 years, he said with a laugh. It's going to be a good book someday. There has been a lot of things, man. That's the one thing about Zimmer. Yeah, he definitely hasn't been great in games against winning teams. Statistically, there's definitely things that are Mike Zimmer inflicted, but he's dealt with a lot of crap that other coaches have not had to deal with.
What Vikings coach hasn't? It's incredible.
It is.
Brad,
Shane Zylstra, my guy Shane Zylstra has signed with the Lions practice squad. So
he's biting kneecaps now.
And apparently, CT Chris Thomason said that Zach Davidson is irked that he was not signed to the roster and actually might not be reporting the Vikings practice squad and could be looking for outside teams to sign him.
What grounds does he have to be? What?
I know I was tongue in cheek with him, Division II stud, whatever. But guy, this sounds like Kyle Sloter 2.0 again. Know your self awareness here, man. You're the third string tight end. I know there was an injury to Irv Smith, but come on, buddy.
You were a punter too. That's you were a gimmick.
I think that's fueling his confidence fire, actually.
You know what that is? That's the guy who's got parents who have told him he's been great his whole life.
Yes, it is.
That's what
exactly
that
what
is.
Kyle
Sloter, man. Kyle Sloter's dad derailed a poor guy's career by convincing him he was Johnny Unitas.
The actual quote on that from Thomas, or the tweet, I should say, is source just said that Zach Davidson has gotten another possible option, so he may not return to the Vikings on the practice squad. He was, quote, disappointed by being waived yesterday.
Well, who's not disappointed by being waived? Dakota Dozier's feelings are hurt too.
Dude, get on the practice squad and do some work and make the team.
Or go find another job and prove you can play. I mean, you were basically a nice story and a gimmick.
Oh, we have exclusive audio from Rick Spielman having heard those comments from a Division II player. Yeah, buddy.
Whatever.
All right, that's a wrap on this emergency episode. Irv Smith out for basically the season. Purple Daily presented by Surly Brewing Company. We're not out for the season. We're just getting ramped up for the season. We'll see you guys tomorrow.